another part of it is that Tennessee's offensive coordinator, Alex Golesh, is leaving the Vols to go be the head coach at South Florida. Great move for him, an interesting move for him. I think the conventional wisdom was that he wanted that job at Cincinnati. Ultimately, give it to Satterfield, Louisville, who I'm pretty sure Louisville wanted to fire. But then he leaves. So, hey, more power to him. I don't know. So he goes to South Florida. Clearly, he wanted to be a head coach, and that opportunity was afforded him there. I don't think he will be coaching in this bowl game. He was already with the team yesterday. So they tweeted out a video of him speaking to the team. I doubt he will be there for the bowl game. Tennessee's not in the playoff or anything like that. And so I think that's gone. But you do have there Joey. How do you say his name? Halsley.
Yeah.
Halsley. Quarterback coach. Also, Glenn Ellerby, I think is part of the offensive strategizing too. So you got guys that have been on staff all season that will also be in the room with Heupel, drawing up the game plan for Tennessee offensively. And obviously, I mean, the final point there is that this is Heupel's offense. But does Golesh leaving concern you at all for this game?
It doesn't really concern me at all for the Clemson game. I think I like Golesh a lot. I think he's a really smart guy, very intelligent, personable. I enjoyed hearing all of his media sessions with reporters through the last 2 years because he really goes in depth and gives great answers. He's very candid, bright guy. I was impressed by him and pretty much knew he was going to be a head coach once Tennessee started having some success. I think where his value is really added is, as far as the play calling goes, it's such a collaborative effort. Nobody knows exactly how it works there, but we know that Golesh has input. We know that he's calling some plays, but we know he's also he's in tune with what Josh Heupel wants to do. So there's such continuity there that they feed off of each other and they're all on the same page. I think that's part of why it works so well. So as far as the actual game it goes itself, I think Heupel will be just fine calling the plays. I'm sure Halsley will be involved in that too, because he was in the booth this year beside Golesh, so he had a front row seat to everything that was going on, which is part of why I think he'll probably slide into that role. Don't know how it'll be titled. We'll see in the coming days and weeks, maybe. With Golesh leaving, I think he was huge in game planning. I think he was huge in making tweaks to the offense, and they did a lot of that this season. We saw a lot of new things from Tennessee this year, and I think Golesh played a key role in that. So I feel like next season, spring, fall, going into the season where they're trying to adapt their offense and evolve it, I think that's where they'll feel that he's being missed the most, because Josh Heupel is not a dictator when it comes to the offense. Yes, it's his offense, but there's people bringing in suggestions all the time. I mean, we heard that there was like an analyst that threw out that play where they hit Hyatt behind the offensive lineman against Missouri and he springs loose and Hooker hits him for that long touchdown. He's listening to the input from everybody. So I think Golesh had a voice in the room that was pretty prominent. So I think that's probably where they will feel his loss the most. I don't think it'll be as big of a deal in the Clemson game.
Yeah, I think that Heupel and Golesh had gotten an incredible rapport going where they really were flowing with this offense. I mean, you could just tell with all the wrinkles that they were adding and all the different things that they implemented this season that made that offense very literally the number one offense in America. It finished the season statistically as the number one offense. It just is incredible. And you hate to lose that, but as you're already saying there, I think he does go for the consistency move here, because it's not like he runs such a singular offense, or an offense that is singular to Heupel. He's not going to go and hire Kendall Briles and be like, hey, come give me your input on my offense. That is mine. He's not going to do that. And so, I would be very shocked if it was anybody other than Joey Halsley. Fall is in the air, and that means fall grilling with cookouts, tailgate parties, and so much more. Luckily, the flavor experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to savor all the flavors of fall with their mouthwatering assortments of perfectly aged steaks, ultra juicy burgers, and easy to prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. And now is the perfect time to load up on all this incredible flavor and take advantage of 50% off site wide by shopping their friends and family sale. Go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code VOLS, that is VOLS, at checkout and get $30 off your order. And guys, I've said it in these ads for weeks now. I've had all of the stuff from Omaha Steaks. I can't endorse it enough. Everything has been high quality. It comes right to your door, so easy and convenient, and I mean, most importantly, tasty. So I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. So don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com and stock up today. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak, it's the best steak of your life, guaranteed. And don't forget to score that extra $30 off your order when you use VOLS at checkout, VOLS. Omaha Steaks is perfect for those chilly and busy fall nights. You won't come close to getting this kind of quality at the grocery store. Visit omahasteaks.com, promo code VOLS at checkout. Minimum order may be required. Omaha Steaks.
Which is, I mean, I think that's 100% the right move because this is Heupel's offense. You don't want it to change. I mean, you want them to keep doing what they're doing, and him and Halsley have an even longer relationship than anybody on the staff. Really, I mean, he was at Oklahoma with Heupel as a player. Then he was a graduate assistant. He was a quality control analyst at Oklahoma. When Josh Heupel got let go, which oddly enough was after Oklahoma lost to Clemson in a bowl game in 2014. So it's another little twist to this bowl game against Clemson, maybe some revenge for Heupel there. Halsley went with him to Utah State. He went with him to Missouri, followed him to UCF. He's been with Heupel for well over a decade at this point. So he knows what Heupel wants to do. They've worked together for a long time. So that continuity, which is so important, can really hurt an offense when you don't have that. I think because Heupel's an offensive guy, you're always going to have that to some extent. So you're just going to keep feeding that machine and bumping people up and giving them promotions. And it's in a perfect world. I mean, you just keep on filling in the next guy. Because if Halsley becomes the OC 2 or 3 good years, he's going to be on the move as well. And then you have to go to the next guy. So fortunately with Heupel, it's not like when Philip Fulmer lost David Cutcliffe after 2007. Then all of a sudden you just got to bring in an offensive coordinator and you bring in Dave Clawson and the whole program gets turned upside down. I don't think you have to worry about anything like that happening with Josh Heupel.
Yeah, I think it's a great setup. The way more interesting changes on the staff would be on the defensive side, and there's no real word of any of that happening this offseason.
There could be some possibility though there with Brian Jean Mary, linebackers coach at Tennessee. Wouldn't be a surprise if he went with Golesh to USF. He was the South Florida defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2019. Left when that coach got fired. They hired Jeff Scott. He did not retain him. Jean Mary went on to Michigan. Could see him going back there as a defensive coordinator, possibly. I'm sure that's the goal. You want to be a defensive coordinator, right? Or maybe Willie Martinez, who has Florida ties. He was also with Golesh at UCF in 2020, so they've been together a while. Maybe he would be a defensive coordinator option down there. He has defensive coordinator experience at Georgia, so he's been around in the SEC a lot of years. So there's a couple of options there that could happen.
Could that be the perfect way for Heupel to kind of specifically to cycle Martinez out of the staff? To just be like, oh, he's going to South Florida.
I know the secondary struggle, but he's a popular guy who has had some success. I mean, look at the guys that he got to the NFL and during his first stint at Tennessee, right? Like Cam Sutton, 3-star guy. Emmanuel Mosley, 2-star, 3-star guy that barely had any offers. They're both key players in the NFL right now. Mosley's hurt, but he was a starter with the 49ers before he got hurt. I mean, he's got some guys. He's developed guys. And so you wonder how much of that was Martinez, how much of it was talent, how much of it was scheme. I mean, that's Tim Banks' scheme. It's not really Martinez's scheme. He's out there coaching technique. So I'm not ready to say that I'm completely out on Martinez, though I do understand why some people feel that way.
I would just say this. Whoever is teaching the tackling, whoever is teaching the being prepared against certain offenses, awareness, things like that. Obviously, to a certain extent, you got to have guys that are ready to accept and live out what you teach them. And maybe some of the players are a problem to whatever extent, but man, some of the coachable stuff was just really, really bad this season. So whoever the origin of that was, maybe replace that guy, whether it was Martinez or whoever.
Greg mentioned too that Golesh coached tight ends also.
Yes, I'll have to find a tight ends coach.
Yeah, that's the feeling, is that Tennessee's going to hire a tight ends coach, hopefully somebody that recruits well, and then bump up Joey Hosley to offensive coordinator, or maybe Glenn Ellerby, like you mentioned, maybe he's like a run game coordinator or something like that. So there's a couple of different options there for Heupel.
Yeah, it's position coaches. I don't want to dismiss that. It is important, but it's not important that they are some sort of savant at coaching tight ends. No offense to whoever might take that job. They need to be a recruiter. And ultimately, that's the real qualification for that job, in my personal opinion. I think it will be for Heupel too, because I think he kind of goes like, I run this offense. We'll figure out the tight ends.
And Golesh was a very good recruiter, very underrated recruiter, good relationships guy, really good at that.
Yeah, I mean, he's number 2 quarterback in America coming in this year, so and he didn't want to play here for no reason. So there's that with Golesh. It's not as unless they go a different direction than Halsey, it's a pretty cut and dry situation in a general sense, and we'll just have to see that if it plays out exactly like we think it will. And we'll talk about it if it doesn't.